mission to combat one of the most pressing issues in Harris County, and that is human trafficking. Every 2 seconds, 2 children are trafficked, and more than 100,000 are exploited every year in the United States. Texas ranks amongst the top 5 states with the highest rates of human trafficking, while Houston ranks in the top 5 cities in this country. For a city known with its vibrant diversity and spirit, it's our societal duty to fight against such an atrocity. The U.S. Department of Justice defines the human trafficking as a crime that involves coercing a person into providing labor, services, or commercial sex acts. It can be subtle or overt, physical or psychological. We are privileged to hear from such a wide range of speakers, including elected officials, community leaders, human trafficking activists, and survivors who have dedicated their lives to fight against human trafficking. Their stories, expertise, and unwavering commitment will inspire us and educate us with knowledge and tools necessary to make a tangible difference. This event would not be possible without the support of our partnering organizations, Harris County and the Raindrop Foundation. Can I please have the electeds stand up to be recognized? Now, can I have people from the Raindrop Foundation stand up to be recognized, please? This event would also not be possible without our supporting organizations, Houston Community College and the United Nations Association of Houston. Can I please have those organizations? Thank you. Now, let's move forward together with compassion and work tirelessly into the light to end human trafficking once and for all. I'd now like to invite the founder of IAPAC, Jagat Kumar, to the stage to give some recognitions on behalf of Congressman Al Green. Thank you.
I didn't know I was going to be here. I was kind of by surprise. I think Rupa was kind enough to talk to me about it. I do not know whether kind enough for what. But anyway, I am here, folks. My name is Jagat Kamdar. I'm really, really happy to see such a huge crowd for this extremely important event that is happening right now here about human trafficking. And I think we all need to be really concerned about what is happening, not only in Houston, but all over America, as far as human trafficking is concerned. So here is the certificate of recognition from the 9th Congressional District, which is, of course, Al Green is the representative of 9th District, he's a congressman. So the very first one is for Harris County. I would invite none other than the commissioner here. Please come. It says the certificate of special congressional recognition presented to Harris County in honor of her services to the community on behalf of the constituents of the 9th Congressional District of Texas. I salute your dedication to providing resources, aid and assistance to combat human trafficking, as well as your commitment to ending violence worldwide. August 20, 2004, Al Green. It's the same kind of certificate for the Raindrop Foundation. And of course, the last one is for Indian American Political Action Committee, none other than Rupa. Thank you. I guess the program is back now.
All right, thank you. I'd now like to invite President of IAPAC, Rupa here, and Sahar Al-Faslan, Executive Director of the Raindrop Women's Association, to the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Do you hear me well? Thank you. It is a privilege to having you tonight and welcoming you to this significant program organized by IAPAC here at Raindrop, Houston. Today, we gather for a cause that transcends all boundaries, faith, culture, and geography to confront one of the heinous crime, human trafficking. Thank you all for being human rights champions and being present here to raise awareness and advocate for the victims of the human trafficking crime. Please give yourself a round of applause for being here. It is beyond sad knowing that our very own city is among the leading cities with the most cases in the country. Before handing you the microphone, I would like to give a brief information about Raindrop Foundation and its services. I'll keep it short and sweet, I promise. I know we all can't wait to hear from expert speakers and panelists. The Raindrop Foundation was established with a vision to build bridges between cultures, promote understanding, and serve our community with compassion and dedication. At Raindrop Foundation, our commitment to enriching lives extends through a range of cultural, social, and educational programs designed to uplift and empower individuals from all walks of lives. We celebrate the rich tapestry of diverse cultures represented in our community. Our cultural programs are designed to foster intercultural understanding and appreciation through a variety of events and activities. From art exhibitions to cooking classes, cultural workshops to heritage celebrations. We aim to create platforms where people can share their traditions, learn from one another, and build lasting connections. Our social programs are focused on addressing immediate needs and enhancing the well-being of individuals and families. We partner with Houston Food Bank and many local organizations to provide the needed support to the community. Additionally, our social programs include initiatives to support mental health, offer financial literacy workshops, and create opportunities for community engagement. And last but not the least, education is the core of our mission to empower individuals and foster personal growth. Raindrop Foundation Houston offers a range of educational programs designed to provide learning opportunities for all ages. After-school tutoring, weekend school, mentorship and scholarship programs for students, vocational training and language classes. These educational initiatives aim to equip individuals with the skills and knowledge needed to succeed. Through these comprehensive cultural, social, and educational programs, Raindrop Foundation is dedicated to creating a more inclusive, informed, and connected community. Raindrop Foundation is deeply committed to advancing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, particularly those focused on education, well-being, and equality. In everything we do, our goal is to create an environment where everyone feels welcome, valued, and supported. We are more than just a cultural center. We are a family, united by our commitment to serving the community and making positive impact in the lives of the people around us. I conclude my work with a heartfelt wish. Sorry, I'm very emotional like this. And I wish to eradicate heinous crimes such as human trafficking and to come together solely for the joyful and celebratory occasions. Thank you, Dr. Rupa, for this amazing program and the IAPAC team, and I appreciate your support of our community. Thank you.
So again, thank you all once again for coming today, this evening, for this amazing program for combating human trafficking. Before I begin, I'd like to just say a few words about IAPAC. We just received the certificate of recognition on behalf of Congressman Al Green. He's the founding member of IAPAC, which was formed about 25 years ago. So IAPAC is a non-profit, a non-partisan organization that is a voice for about over 250,000 people in the greater Houston area. This is folks from our community. And we host a variety of events. Like the one today is part of our Women Empowerment Series. So we did one earlier on women's health rights, with all these laws that were passed in Austin. So that was again a very important topic, just like the one today. That's part of the Women Empowerment Series. The other one, another signature event, is Gratitude with Global Cultures and Religions. And this is really to build bridges with the other communities. And that is so important. And Houston being so diverse, it's a perfect place for that. And this year, the theme for our event, which is slated for December 6th, and any of our IAPAC folks can tell you more about it. The theme is the intersection of mental health and politics. So we hope to get somebody from the White House for that. And then finally, we organize conversations over coffee all across town. These are small, intimate gatherings in coffee shops where we promote the coffee shop because we move from one coffee shop to another coffee shop, whether it's in Pearland or Cypress or Bel Air or Piney Point, all across town. And they cover a range of topics. But the three broad categories are issues that concern our community. So it could be crime, safety, immigration, whatever. We get feedback from them. From one of our COCs, we got feedback that they want to know about elections. They come here, they immigrate, they become US citizens, they have no idea who's on the ballot, what to do. So now we've been doing a series of Election 101. We've done it in Fort Bend County, Harris County, and the next one is going to be Missouri County with the county clerk to explain, this whole process. So these are educational ones. Also understanding what's happening in Austin. That's what are the laws that are being passed. And the third category is meeting local candidates. Very seldom do you get to meet trustees, school board trustees, trustees for colleges, city council members in these local cities. So I think that is very important for the community, local community, to know who they're going to be voting for so that they can make an informed decision. Again, this is non-partisan and everybody who's on the ballot is invited. So none of this would be possible, obviously, without the support of our board. And I would request our IAPAC board members, including our past presidents. I know we have some of them, so if you could please stand and be recognized, I would appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So now for the main thing that we've all come here for, and I'm sorry it has taken this long, and we should have started a lot earlier, but everything got a little delayed. I don't know if you know there was a big fire on 59 and Beltway 8, and a lot of the folks got delayed, the food got delayed, so on. But finally we are ready to get started. So it's my great pleasure today to introduce our today's moderator, Sami Khalid. He's also known as the virtual vigilante. Sami is an expert in cybersecurity and human trafficking with over a decade of experience in ethical hacking, digital forensics, and cyber intelligence. He also serves as Commissioner for Planning and Development for the City of Houston, and also happens to be the youngest commissioner. So Sami has dedicated years to using technology to combat human trafficking, earning recognition from the President of the US and Points of Light. He's also been honored as a fellow of the prestigious Royal Society of Arts under the patronage of the late Queen Elizabeth II. Beyond his professional work, Sami is passionately committed to education, dedicating his time to institutions like the San Jacinto College, Houston Community College. He also supports other organizations like the Rotary Club, the Houston Area Women's Center, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Rose Foundation, and ANISA. And now I think I'm going to turn over to Sami so that he can introduce the rest of the panel. Thank you.
All right, guys, I just want to begin today by thanking each of you for being here today. And your presence speaks volume. Your presence speaks volume about your commitment on confronting one of the most pressing and heartbreaking issues of our time, human trafficking. Human trafficking is not just a business issue happening in far-off places. It's a pervasive, insidious crime that happens right here in our communities. And for a lot of those that don't know, Houston ranks #1 when it comes to cities around the United States for child trafficking. It happens in our neighborhoods, our schools, our workplaces, and it affects people of all ages, races, and backgrounds. First, we're going to hear, on the first panel, we're going to hear from some brave survivors who have endured unimaginable trauma and have emerged not just as survivors, but as powerful voices of change. Their stories will remind us of resilience of human spirit and the importance of providing a platform to those who have lived through such experiences to share the truth. My first guest is a troublemaker of this evening, Dr. Nisi Hamilton. She's an award-winning survivor of child trafficking and a leading advocate for justice. She has been recognized with prestigious awards such as the Foundation of Improvement of Justice Award and Profiles in Courage Award. Dr. Hamilton played a crucial role in the passage of the Texas SMART Act, which raised the minimum age to work in a sexually oriented business to 21. She is the CEO and founder of Nisi Network, Inc., a nonprofit dedicated to protecting youth, creating solutions to end human trafficking. Nisi. And our second guest, none other than Catherine Townsend, is a force of transformation. From her early life in Mississippi to her rise as a music talent in California, Catherine's journey has been one of resilience and redemption, overcoming addiction and becoming the first graduate of Harris County STAR drug court program. She has dedicated her life to fighting for those who need a second chance. Catherine is a champion for victims of human trafficking and substance abuse. As the head of the Human Trafficking Division for Harris County Hospital Precinct 1, she continues to drive change at every level, from halls of Congress to Texas legislature. Well, you don't need a mic. Quick questions. None of the law enforcement can answer this question, so I want you to raise hands. I'm just going to ask a few quick questions to see how much you know about human trafficking. Who can tell me how much human trafficking generates globally every year? Somebody. Nailed it. Yes, human trafficking unfortunately generates $150 billion in profit every year globally. It's actually, if you look at the net profit of the top 10 companies, public companies, only one company outdoes what human trafficking does combined online. What is the average cost of a victim or a slave sold globally? A child victim or a child slave? Anybody? 10,000. Somebody said 10,000. Any other guesses? $90. Right. Trafficking is the second most profitable illegal industry in the world compared to drug trade. Can somebody tell me why is selling humans more profitable than selling drugs?
Because you can use them over and over again.
Yes, that's true. While drugs can only be sold in one transaction, the human body can be sold over and over again. And came sometime when it comes to child trafficking cases or child victim abuse, can sell that same child in 1 year and generate up to $150,000 to $200,000 in revenue. And so the statistics are striking, but only tell part of the story. Behind each number is a person, a life forever altered by the horrors of exploitation and abuse. So I'm going to ask Nisi and Kathy, one by one. Nisi, if you want to start, can you share a bit about your journey and how you found the strength to survive, overcome the trauma of human trafficking?
Absolutely. You guys, can you just clap it up again for Miss Kathy? Kathy has played an extremely pivotal role in me surviving trafficking. It's not the easiest thing to do, surviving trafficking. You have to not go with the flow of things, but you have to manage life in increments. Surviving trafficking for some people may be you just getting your life back, but for me it was quite different because I had 8 children. And when you're raising children trying to survive trafficking, you have to think about your children going to school. You have to think about what they're exposed to. You also have to think about the fathers. And 2 of my children's fathers are or were my pimps. The reason why Kathy is so important to me is because Kathy and my mom used to do drugs together back in the day. And my mother was arrested several times for prostitution. I think one of the things that we've overlooked with human trafficking is not the survivability, but what is the life expectancy of the children of the prostitutes. And had Kathy not survived something then that was troubling me, I wouldn't have had an example because my mother in 2008 was murdered by her pimp. Her body left in an abandoned home. It took them 3 years to find her last living relative, which was me, her daughter. There are no examples to surviving sex trafficking. There is no specific way out. There aren't any litany tests of what it means to be a survivor. What you are is a pioneer. You pioneer processes that people have never been through in their entire lives. And what you do is you make it look easy. When actually you have to go home to your children and explain to them that yes, mommy was beaten. Yes, mommy's name was drugged through the mud. Yes, mommy has probably slept with, unfortunately, over 1,500 men. Yes, mommy has been in different houses, crack houses, trap houses, not just the schoolhouse. It is learning how to become somebody that the world had already counted you out to be. That is surviving trafficking, but that is also my experience with trafficking.
You're amazing. Yeah, you know, I'm getting ready to start 22 years in dealing with, I have hit the mark of over 1 million human beings that have been in front of me in the past 21 and a half years that I have helped and given them services to exit out of almost every, there are 4 forms of human trafficking. Most people just, it's so interesting, I ask the question all the time. Tell me the different types of human trafficking. Then they'll say, human trafficking. And it is amazing with all of the human trafficking awareness organizations and all of the organizations that the government funds millions and millions of dollars because people attach themselves to that name now because, Lord, they messed around, the government and gave them some money. I'm that girl that was in that cage with every bone on my body broken. I still support this broke, crooked arm that could not be fixed because I wasn't allowed to go to the hospital when I was rescued out of that dog cage. But that doesn't count. And when I say I work with over 1 million human beings, everybody says those girls. Huh? Girls. Babies. Male, female. Girls, boys, tweens, teens, men, women, other, and other, and other, because they got a lot of different others now. And it's not funny. Trauma is real. And for Houston to be, unfortunately, at the top of the list for this heinous, dark crime, and as big as we are, with as many powerful elected officials that we have. I'm so glad to see our new breed of elected officials.
Yes.
Because, let me tell you something. Niecy and myself take pride. Research, Google us, and see if anybody ever gave us any money. And we got the real bodies. A lot of the organizations have 2, 3, 4, maybe 12. And were they really, they might be victims, but were they really victims of real human trafficking? Oh, by the way, organ trafficking. The reason why everybody in this room is a candidate. What is the number 1 organ that's trafficked? Skin. On the top of the list because we have so many different variations of skin color. And they don't care if you're newborn or you old and decrepit like me. I'm knocking the face off 65, but it ain't gonna stop till my casket drop. This work. And I'm dedicated to this. You see, I was telling Niecy earlier, you hear about me helping people with substance abuse, and I was in the first batch of guinea pigs for the Harris County Star Drug Court program. My habit was $30,000 a month for 22 years. I said, Niecy, because they're not real narcotics out there anymore. They're chemicals. And people that go to drug treatment, they're still using treatment for narcotics, not these chemicals. So the individuals that come before us today Whereas cocaine just go on through your system. Back in the day, you ought to know that the marijuana is chemicals. Because back in our day, you had seed burns in your clothes and in the seed. Ain't no seeds in this. And you can smell, if somebody light a joint, we sit here, you can smell it out from the parking lot. And it don't smell like, we had about 3 different kinds of weed. We had some skunk, some sesame, some red wood, some dirt. They got 5,000 names, devil's breath, Indian flame, killer, dragon. And then they come to us, and unfortunately the mental health that was there gets reinfected with these chemicals that now control individuals to a point almost to no return. But as a survivor, that's just one step. Okay, so what? We survived. Thank you, God. And thank you for taking our mess and giving us a message. But if we want to do something about trafficking, why not come to somebody that knows what real trafficking is? Because back in the Ice Age, when it was pimping and hoeing, it's a lot different today. It does not look the same. It does not. We're in a town that has strip clubs, and just about every dancer in those clubs are minors, children. You just think they're adults. And all of the ones that come to us for help say, well, you know, I started out dancing in the club when I was 12. But we do absolutely nothing about it. Everybody just focuses on the blade, this and that. That ain't all.
It's like 7 tracks.
I mean, real. And if you make it to the track, that means that you've been kicked out. Because almost all of the trafficking, and he can tell you, is done on the phone. So this is the deal. Social media. This is it, right here. They don't need to have the man with the platform shoes, the hat, the pimp suit, and the cane. Ain't no such thing. And most of the traffickers now are female.
And 16.
And juveniles. Right now, the marijuana that even just everybody in here probably knows somebody that smokes a blunt. That's the problem. Back in my day, we had no blunts, we had the little joints. They don't do that. So you're putting that much chemical into your system, and they are watering all these 5,000 different brands of marijuana now with fentanyl. It's in the water. And then our clients, our survivors will tell us, well, it's just weed. So the people that we rescue, restore, rehabilitate, and it takes a long time.
Yes, it does.
I've got people been with me over 18 years, still fighting every day. Every morning I wake up, Dr. Nisi wakes up. We start over at 0. Because now you don't have to be controlled with an iron fist like the guerrilla pimps used to do it and beating them up. All you gotta do is give them a blunt. And the addiction is gonna be so craving and so strong, they get to make even more money now. Because now, long as I'm giving you a blunt, that's gonna last you for about 3 hours. You can turn 10 dates in 3 hours. turn tricks. So I want everybody in this room that really cares. You see, I'm kind of the Harriet Tubman of this human trafficking stuff, because they was just those prostitutes when I first started. And there's a person in this room. You know, people saying, "Ooh, she was a crackhead. Oh, ooh, she was a dope fiend. And what she do? How she got a badge? Or how she working? And gee, how she ain't nobody." They talked a lot of noise about me. There was one human being in this room, never judged me, trusted me, and believed in me. I don't even think they had an idea they was gonna ever even run for an office. They was just in the fight. Wasn't getting no recognition, didn't want none. You know who that was, y'all? Ann Johnson. She been right there. I got the first prostitution rehabilitation program ever, especially in a jail and in Texas, run by an ex-crackhead hoe. I'm just saying, this is what we were referred to as. That's why I took the word hoe and made it helping others excel. How many of you all help others excel? Raise your hand. Now touch your neighbor and say, "Hi, hoe." If we don't start taking the sting out of different words and terminologies that are used in the trafficking world, you're never going to reach them. You're never going to be able to help anyone. And if you choose to help someone, you better not be a hypocrite. Whatever you talk, because first of all, we're not God. We're not Jesus. We don't save anybody, but we are seed planters.
That's right.
And we have to wake up every morning and plant a new seed in us and then sow it out to the others. And you better not be caught slipping.
My God, today.
Right now, people got both of us. We were just looking at some stuff under a microscope. Somebody trying to still find something wrong. But you never know. Those people, they had me to come speak years ago in the Woodlands. I'm a Rotarian, by the way. And it was the Rotary Club, and they said, "We want you to come talk about human trafficking, but we really don't have that problem." It wasn't 2 weeks, somebody was calling me, "Can you help me? Let me tell you what happened." I'm just saying. So, I'm so honored to see this many people here, because it's enough people in this room to knock us off that number one spot. If you just listen and let all the wonderful people here that are working with this just plant some seeds in you and show you what can be done, instead of just going to gatherings and talking about human trafficking and nobody's doing anything. Let's turn this into the miracle. You know, can't be judgmental. I might not speak like I have a doctorate degree in NRED and MSTs and triculate the sensibilities, but the clients that I deal with don't understand that type of lingo. So sometimes we gotta get down and dirty in the mud, sometimes we don't. We have the clients that say, "Well, I'm not as, I never did that. I'm an escort. And that's my boyfriend, or that's my girlfriend." But yet, where are you living? In a high-rise downtown. Do you own it? Well, see what happened was. I'm just saying. We can do something about this. if a wretch like me can work for the sheriff department, the constable's office. For 12 years I worked in Austin with State Rep Alma Allen in the Capitol. I'm on the Commissioner's Court Criminal Justice Committee. I'm begging them. I've been on that for years and ain't nobody asked me for a report yet. I'm saying it on purpose because I know you're gonna ask for that report because you get stuff done. I'm so glad, I told you, I'm glad to have you. Let's do something about it. And the most important thing today, let's talk about it. I got the biggest program, the only one in the world in a penitentiary for all forms of human trafficking called Our Roadway to Freedom. You know how long it's been in existence? Can somebody tell me? Take a guess. 19 years. Senator John Whitmire. He wasn't no mayor, he was a senator. He was a senator. And he called me in. And he said to me, I've got to undo a wrong. I said, what you talking about, Senator? He says, I was a part of that 3 strikes you out. I voted for that. Do y'all know the last time I got arrested with an empty crack pipe? I didn't have no dope. I just had a crack pipe. And I was such a dope fiend, there wasn't even no dope in the Brillo. So they couldn't even get nothing off when they tried to test it. It was empty. And I got in the car with the undercover. When I found out about the drug court, I had been to 21 rehabs at this point, and I was done. I'm like, I ain't going to no rehab, they don't work. Well, guess what? Somebody said, just do it. And I went in there, and I said, now, Judge Caprice Cosper, how you gonna help me turn my life around? She says, easy. Because if you mess up one time, I'm gonna give you 33 years day for day. I got sober that second, and I don't even use mouthwash with alcohol in it. Because I know Sean, where you at? Where the DA? I saw him. It's a file over there in his office. It's a file over there doing push-ups, waiting on me to mess up. I know that, but it ain't gonna happen. God got me, and He's empowering me every day. And I'm just telling you, I'm so honored that you all are really interested in this. You got 3 people right here. He's looking at it on the depth, because this is where it is, y'all. Everybody looking at the strolls. When they out there walking on the street, the traffickers have put them out there because they're unusable. On here, or either they're unwilling to do what they're doing now because they don't want most of the sex workers or slaves to actually have sex now. They want to rob them, knock them in the head, trafficker come and knock the girl out like she don't know nothing about it, and they take their money. And there are a lot of people in my program now that got caught up in, unfortunately, the trick died or was murdered. I got a lot of those. I got a lot of those that were paid, drug addicts, to bring people across the border, and they paid them in dope, and they got caught, so the real loads could come through. Yeah, let's use this dope thing, and we promise you $5,000 and we get you high. And then purposely they get caught. The traffickers will turn you in. They'll turn you in so that they can get the real load in here. All of these beautiful gated communities, I guarantee you almost in every one of them, you got some traffickers living, and they have their victims who think that they're girlfriends or boyfriends living in these very high-end homes and high-rises that they do not own. They're rented. It's right here in plain sight. But when it's time for us to talk about it, don't nobody want to talk about it. Let's talk about it. I got whole class every Wednesday. 1302 Preston, helping others excel. And we're hoes, helping others excel successfully. Come sit in the meeting. all of the survivors and some are still in the business. We got more intel than anybody because they gonna tell us. I've helped us find missing people that were buried that the dope man called me and told me that the killer needed some dope and told him what it proved facts. We get the intel, we know the information because they trust us.
Kathy, what was that pivotal moment for both of you that went from survivor to being an advocate?
33 and a half years, day for day in the penitentiary. And because I went to so many rehabs and they didn't seem to work, I needed to, the reason why it did not work for me, honestly, is because those were drug rehabs and they only talked about the disease of addiction. You have a cell lodged in the base of the medulla oblongata. And the first time your mother gave you, or your father gave you a sip of champagne at New Year's when you were a kid, if you were an addict, it activated your disease. Unfortunately, I didn't know I was adopted. My parents back in those days didn't tell me, and they continued to tell me. I didn't find out I was adopted until I was 26, because I knew I wasn't nothing like those wonderful, sober people. I'm high as a research monkey. It didn't make sense to me. So I wanted to put something together, and I begged God to give me a curriculum that could help others suffering like me. And it has worked by the grace of God. So that was my pivotal moment.
You done?
I'm done.
For me, it was my children. I was the first person in the state of Texas to be sued for child support by the men who had trafficked me. And my children were away from me for 7 years. It took me 7 years to get my children back. And I think that, learning how to be a mom again and going before a judge, having to explain, hey, that this is trafficking, having to go back through court documents where my pimp had testified in front of the judge that he had been with me since I was 16 years old. And, just having to relive those moments where you understand that at 16 you cannot consent to sex, and having to remind people in the justice system that, hey, he admitted that here. And so why does he get to keep my children? A lot of times we think trafficking only happens one type of way. We never think, hey, what if this guy is using the children to keep the mom doing what we want her to do, or keep her working in the strip club on the blade and things like that to that nature. And I think that when my story came out, Sammy, from working with me, like it was an anomaly. It was like, no, did that really happen? Kind of thing. And I think people realized that it was serious once I started getting my children back and started seeing the transition, because I had to learn how to be a mom all over again. I think, Kathy going back and forth to court with me, with the judge, hearing some of the requirements. You can't get your children back unless you have, a certain square footage of house, because there's so many of them. You need to have certain income requirements. You need to be able to meet the income requirements for your children. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, wait a minute, there was an injustice done to me. You should just ought to want to give me my children back. I've been going through this since I was 15 years old. I have been sued by the state since I was 15 because I was a minor and I was a minor and I was homeless. I mean, really, that was it. And those 3 requirements turned into 10 years of hell for me. And it was everything for me to say, okay, what can I do? I think the biggest move and empowering move for me was working for an attorney for those 7 years. I mean, I read law books all day, all night. It is fascinating. ABC calls me, every time there's a trafficking experience, ABC calls me and they go, are you an attorney? We really want to hear your thoughts and opinions, because they want to know what's going on. I accidentally did the Bill Cosby case and gave my opinion for that. So, pass on the back. Because they thought I was an attorney. I was like, no, I'm not an attorney, but I'm a paralegal, let's have the this conversation. It was just really awesome to be able to, you know, go through those movements. And with that empowerment, what I was able to do, because I understood how family law and criminal law are so adjacent to each other, they do not talk to each other. So as family laws are changing, criminal court don't know what's happening in family law, but as criminal laws are changing, then the family court doesn't know, but they don't speak to each other. And that's really, you know, the kink in the armor there. We miss it. For instance, I'll give you guys a good example of how to look at this. Right now in Harris County, we have over 92,000 parents who are incarcerated, right? So, who's keeping the data on the children? Who's at home with those children? Why we just let ACC has done the work of trying to keep the data of the children, but what are we doing at the city, at the county level? What are we doing? Why are we not getting that data? Because those are the kids that are most vulnerable. Nobody's thinking about those children, the children of the parents who have been incarcerated.
And everybody looks at those children because juvenile jail is full of drug dealers. Listen, they selling drugs just to survive, and a lot of them sell the dope to take care of the parents. You know that's child labor, trafficking, when the child is paying, taking care of the, what y'all is, I mean, not y'all, but
No one in this room.
no one in this room.
No.
But the people out there,
Oh, absolutely.
them old thugs, them old dope fiends, them dope
And what
dealers.
about the moms? The moms, remember we had COVID and parents had to get their kids to go to school online. Well, what happened was I had to go in, retrain mothers that their oldest children cannot keep the kids. Back in the day, that used to be a thing, but when it came down to education, that's not okay. If you wasn't already homeschooling that child, you can't force the child to not go to school online because you can't afford daycare. We need to come together. So in that instance, it's labor trafficking, but who's looking at that situation like it's labor trafficking? So we're talking about issues of social engineering. What about things like what we feed our children? What about the cereal? Tricks? What's a trick?
A John.
So if you look at the word Meretrix, Meretrix, it means prostitute. But you're gonna give your child some cereal that says tricks, but it's for kids. We're talking about social engineering. And because you got people that say they are pimps, right? They are highly intellectual. They are the smartest people in the world. They are amazing orators and communicators. They know what they're doing. They understand that you don't have time to spend time with your children.
We do.
But they do. The average parent spends 12 minutes a day with their child. 12 minutes a day. The average parent, especially, and I won't say average because not this room, you guys are all professionals, but the children of the pimps, the children of the prostitutes, because we don't even talk about peer-to-peer abuse. We're just talking about the adults. We're not talking about what's happening at school.
Secrets.
That they're passing on this information from the house to the school. And they were overloading the counselors with information and not giving them enough tools to deal with the pressure of peer-to-peer abuse. And then by the time they get to college, like HCC, that has an awesome program that deals with trafficking, because they have me. Thank you, Dr. Brianna Starlow. That deals with trafficking. Because, and the reason why institutions like ACC is important is because everybody wants to know what to do about the rape that's happening on college campus. Well, we didn't deal with it in high school. We did it. We laughed when we heard the kids saying, let's run a train. Well, buddy, if you're running a train on somebody, you're trafficking. You can't make your girlfriend have sex with your football friends.
And they paying you something.
And they paying you. You can't do that. This is what it is. This is why the pimping has transformed from, an average 30-year-old man to a 16-year-old boy. And I just want to put this out there because I grew up during this era. When we had a drug crisis, we created programs. That program was called the DARE program. We spent 25 years and billions of dollars teaching kids to not sell drugs. But what we did not teach them was not sell people. Now tell me the program that's in high school right now teaching kids not to sell people? Tell me when's the last time you been to a human trafficking training? Police officers have to do it.
A real one. A real
Police
one.
officers have to do it. Nurses have to do it.
Hospitality.
Anybody in the
Doctors.
hospitality industry, tell me when have you gone through a real live experience of trafficking training where you can actually lay your eyes on it? Because the average kid is somebody who has 3 hours of idle time. The average kid is somebody who is 200% below the poverty level. These are the kind of people we deal with. But you know what? That was me. I was that person. I had limited supervision from parents. No one really knew anything about me. And that stigma of when you are 14, 15, 16 years old and you have children, you're considered an adult. That is adultification. You cannot adultify a community or an ethnicity of people because you think that your ethnicity don't have to worry about surviving something that my ethnicity is okay with surviving because we had slavery. It doesn't make me better, and it doesn't make me more well equipped than another ethnicity of people, and that's how we treat it. But why is it okay? So when we think about trafficking on these levels, you got social engineering, you got different economies coming into the mix. On top of, and my commissioners here, our seniors, we're in a retirement crisis right now. But you have political ploys that are saying, hey, we need to legalize prostitution for what? Y'all ain't gonna have no money.
Yeah, that part.
Y'all already fighting for your money. So then I have to come, this is the reason why Sammy called me trouble, because I have to come in here and talk to grown men and say, okay, so why you in the strip club? Why you participating in this? I know it's fun for 5 minutes and you getting married, you're doing all this stupid stuff. So why? You can't write it off. What you gonna give away free money and let's be able to write it off? What's up? Why would you want another faction of people to come into the economy and disrupt it when it's already bankrupt? Because then if you allow prostitutes to become legal and take sex work to another level, then they haven't participated in disability.
And they've been groomed already, so whatever money they get, they're gonna still give it to the trafficker.
Right.
This is the only somebody that care about me. And we gotta start talking about family secrets, incest, molestation, rape. And people holding on to secrets is keeping them sick and passing that sickness on. Hurt people are hurting other people.
Right.
But don't nobody want to talk about that. Or if they tell you what goes on in this house does what?
Stays in the house. But that's the thing, you can't heal from what you hide from. And that's what makes us different. I ain't here from a damn thing. Anything you want to know about me, just ask. All you gotta do is ask. But the difference is who you're asking. If you ask somebody that's on the street, the same questions you asking Kathy and I, you're gonna get a totally different response. Because they're gonna say to you, you asking me these questions, are you asking me so you can help me?
That part.
These are different things. Like I tell girls all the time, stop trying to come on this side to hurry up and get rich. I ain't never seen a rich victim. So you can't be on this side and be both a victim and a survivor at the same time. It doesn't work. You have to figure out who you are, and you gotta be really serious about it. Because you don't want to be bleeding on somebody else's life who is looking at your life as a way out, and you ain't quite figured it out. You don't want to do that. You cannot heal and help at the same time. You gotta pick your poison. Yeah, pick a side. So this is bigger than being strong and having that vitality and the mentality to carry on the presence of just surviving or, overcoming or, it being you having the 33 years or me getting my children back. I can tell you one thing for sure and two things about it. I would never help nobody get their children back if I didn't first get mine back. That's for real.
That's right.
I would never do it because number one, I'm not authorized. Number two, I don't have the dimension or the capacity to carry the weight of that type of hurt and pain. And you have to have the dimension and the capacity. If you don't operate on that level, get out. Don't put your hands on it, because it's too much. So stop playing with the world trafficking, because it's a very serious word. It's not a word that you come in and make money off of. And we see a lot of nonprofits coming in this space trying to make money off of victims, but the Leviathan spirit is what it really is. You can't.
The victims.
Yeah, it's too much, y'all.
And you know, Nisi and you and I were talking about earlier, we always say prevention's better than the cure.
Right.
Cure is a journey that's lifelong.
It's lifelong.
And victims are always healing their whole life to get over that trauma. So we're gonna bring the next panel on, but I'm gonna thank each of you.
We sorry we kidnapped this panel. I'm
No.
sorry. We need to let y'all know the truth today.
We'll hear from the leaders of frontline elected official, law enforcement, and advocates who are working tirelessly to combat crime. Their efforts are crucial, but so is our collective responsibility as community to support these initiatives. Our first guest joining on the stage has dedicated her career to fighting for justice, protecting the most vulnerable among us. State Rep. Ann Johnson is not only a former chief human trafficking prosecutor and a founding member of Harris County Girls Court, but she has also made a significant stride in our legal system, including a landmark case that led to the protection of child victims of exploitation. Now serving as a rep for Texas State House District 134. She continues her work tirelessly to improve human trafficking laws. Our second guest, please welcome to the stage a trailblazer and dedicated public servant, Harris County Commissioner Leslie Briones. A proud resident of Texas who grew up on the U.S.-Mexico border, Commissioner Briones brings the wealth of experience and deep commitment to education, justice, and service to her role. Our third guest joining us on the stage is a distinguished law enforcement professional with a deep commitment to protecting our communities, Lawrence White. Began his career with the FBI in 2008, working on violent crime and counterterrorism in the Memphis field office. Over the years, he served in numerous critical roles, including as SWAT operator, WMD coordinator, and unit chief for FBI protective operations. Currently as a supervisory agent of child exploitation and human trafficking task force in Houston. Prior to his FBI career, Torrance served with the Greenville County Sheriff Office. I'll stand in front. You know, before I begin the panel, I'm going to again reiterate the types of trafficking that we have kind of mentioned. Some of the ones that we commonly see again are forced labor, sex trafficking, forced marriages that we see on the other parts of the globe, domestic servitude, which is huge, and then what we're also noticing in some of the other nations are child soldiers, which kind of gets overlooked. You know, one of the stats you guys heard earlier was that every 26-second child is sold. You know, so since I've been physically on this property, I was calculating that time right. There's about 150 children who've been sold globally in that time frame. For Texas, or just within the state of Texas, it's a $7 billion economy, human sales. And you know, unfortunately, again, reiterating, Houston ranks number one when it comes to child trafficking. Rep. Johnson, you know, you've been instrumental in passing laws, and especially within your time, protecting the victims. Can you share with us some of the key legislations that you're seeing, especially the legislation you kind of worked on with training and education of, you know, tattoo parlors and massage centers?
Thank you very much. Oh, got it. How about that? Okay, perfect. Thank you. My name is Ann Johnson. I'm proud to be a state representative, but I have to tell you, for that role, I'm really here as a messenger on behalf of Dean Symphonia Thompson. If you do not know who we affectionately call Miss T in the Texas House, she is the Dean of the Texas House, has served 50 years, and she is actually the individual that started a change in Texas public policy in the legislature back in 2009. It was 2007 when I was running around juvenile court with Judge Natalie Oaks, and I was pointed to a 13-year-old little girl who was charged with prostitution. I had been a prosecutor, and I thought that was wrong. We went to the DA's office and said, hey, what are you doing? Why are you prosecuting this kid? And they simply said, because we can. And so it took me 3 years to get that case in Texas Supreme Court, where the court ruled for the first time in our nation's history that that child is a victim, and the state's role should be going after her, quote, 32-year-old pimp. She was a boyfriend, that she was living with and having sex with. When I went to the Texas Supreme Court in 2010, I took with me in my brief all the legislative history analysis that Dean Confronting Thompson had put in her legislation to say that Texas and Houston was a hub, that human trafficking was human slavery, and that we needed to do better. So I am proud to tell you that every 2 years, we pass an omnibus human trafficking bill that updates the needs and the requirements. So just like Kathy and others have said, this is a constantly evolving crime. The perpetrators are as smart as they come. And at every time we make one step, they'll do something differently. And so that's why public awareness is important. Commissioners Court and their effort, law enforcement, and being able to come to us. So one of the things that we did last session, which was an update, was try to work with like Uber and Lyft drivers to try to get more information to them as to what they might be seeing and get them engaged with training and other things. And so we do it every 2 years. We modify, we evolve, because unfortunately, this crime is still profitable. And because people are still making a profit off of it, we keep having to fight it.
Thank you. Commissioner Briones, one of the things that people undermine is the amount of work the county does. So I just want you to kind of share what are some of the roles that your office plays and the Harris County plays when it comes to working with other agencies and community agencies.
Thank you, Sammy, for your leadership, and IAPAC, thank you for bringing us together in the Raindrop Foundation. And it's an honor to be sitting here with my state rep, my friend, one of my role models, and my partners, Representative Johnson. She is a fighter, and it gives me peace and pride knowing she's fighting for us and fighting for justice in Austin, which we so need. And Special Agent White, I have so much respect for what you and your team do, and I look forward to continuing to deepen the relationship between the county and the FBI, what we can do to support. Just really quickly, Dr. Samia Rana, if you could please stand. I'm so grateful she's on the Precinct 14. Please. She leads our justice work. Thank you, Dr. Rana. And then Director Sindhu Menon helps lead for the entire Harris County, our universal services. And to all the other Harris County partners, thank you. And I look forward to my future Harris County partners as well. So thanks for being here, Sean. There's several things that the county, I took office as your commissioner about a year and a half ago. And there's a multitude of things that we've been trying to do and trying to advance. But the bottom line is one thing that the county and my team and I are laser focused on is where can we get better? And there's a lot of room where we can get better in collaborating with the city and the city of Houston, but also the other 33 cities in Harris County, the state of Texas, and then the federal government. And one example that we recently did was Houston Police Department reached out to Alice Lee, my amazing chief of staff, who I know many of you know, and we have the Bissonnet track in Precinct 4. And we know that we have a vast and deep problem, and Bissonnet is a key corridor. And HPD said, look, we're going out, the businesses need help. A-Leaf ISD had reached out, Houston ISD, nearby schools, they were recruiting our kids. And they said, can you all do something at the county? And so what we did is literally build barricades. Our Precinct 14, it's something very straightforward, 6 barricades that we put up on the street in partnership with HPD, the City of Houston, A-Leaf, Representative Johnson was there, and we have seen vast improvement in that particular area, especially with regard to them trying to victimize and recruit those children. And we all know that the problem is deep and widespread, but that's one example where it's you pick up the phone, you have an idea, and let's put it into action without years of discussion and delay. Another example, and Representative Johnson was a key partner in making this happen, is helping Harris County get 6 new criminal district courts. Because we all know that for our victims, and for our defendants, and their families, when they're waiting years for their day in court, that's a problem. And so we have 6 new courts, in large part because of Representative Johnson and our state partnership, and we've been working together to find those efficiencies. You were talking about the criminal and the family courts. Where can we have more additional data, situational awareness, processes, transparency, so that we're not losing folks in the system? So there's many other examples I can give, but I've been bringing my perspective as a mom of 3 little girls who worries every time they pick up that device, as a former public school teacher who grew up on the US-Mexico border where trafficking, unfortunately, Webb County, my home county, Laredo, Texas, just Google it and you'll see, 100 undocumented individuals caught in an 18-wheeler, another 55, and I mean, it's just atrocious. And that is what I grew up around, right? So trafficking was all around us. My students were being recruited by the cartels to be running, to be selling themselves. And so from different lenses, how can we partner with our school districts? How can we partner with our places of worship, with our nonprofits? And so that's what we have a long road ahead in Harris County, and I hate that we lead the country in this. I want to lead for the right reasons, not for the most sickening, unacceptable reasons. But we will keep driving that progress. And I see so many of our partner organizations. I'll end with one final example. Thanks to President Biden and VP Harris, Harris County got substantial funding in ARPA funds. And we've been partnering with regard to victim support services in a very holistic way with many nonprofits, especially in our immigrant communities. So I see many of our partners here today. If you could please stand, because we're so grateful for your partnership. Thank you so much. We have invested in the county $6.2 million in a resiliency fund to really focus on the trauma experienced by our youth. We have put about $5 million into domestic violence assistance fund for our victims and survivors. And so there's many other examples I'll share. But the bottom line is we want to partner with you, we want to listen, we want to learn, and we want to keep doubling down, because I know every parent in this room, we have a fear that we carry every time our kids go to school. And we shouldn't have to have that fear constantly. So I'm just grateful to be here, grateful to learn, and I look forward to working together for years to come so that we only lead for the right reasons.
Thank you. With our next question, I'll just thank the FBI Houston office. I've personally done over 300 panels, education panels on human trafficking, and I'll kid you not, they have an agent out that sits on a panel and have been very supportive. Not only that fact, the fact that they've been there since early morning to late, just doing their job, and on top of it coming out and being here. So we've got 3 fantastic officers in the room. So I just want to thank you and see that. Sam and Torrance, and they're part of the same unit. So Torrance, I just want you to kind of briefly talk about your unit, but at the same time, what is FBI doing to combat trafficking, especially within the Houston area?
Sure thing. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Good deal. It's not often the FBI shares the stage with politicians. But we're trying to make this work. Guys, the FBI as a whole, the FBI have made a concerted effort over the years in regards to child exploitation and human trafficking. I just so happen to be the supervisor of a wonderful team of young women and Sam, because a team is made up of women dedicated to trying to combat child exploitation and human trafficking. You heard a lot from your survivors. They talked about the landscape of things changing. Everyone here that has a child, we had that fear of that white man pulling up, standing with your child. But one of the panelists earlier, they talked about the dreaded thing that we call a cell phone. 8 billion people in the world. 8 billion people. Every time your child gets onto a phone, an Xbox, PlayStation, they're introduced to 4.5 billion people in the world. Now, we're all worried about the white man pulling up. It's one in a million things that could happen. But every time that child interacts with someone online, a stranger. It's a stranger. And one of the things the FBI has made a concerted effort in is trying to combat that and trying to provide preventive techniques for parents, educate them on the use of the internet, the use of cell phones, the use of data, but also trying to educate our kids in understanding what strangers are. I say that again, to understand what strangers are. We assume everyone that our child's speaking with online is a friend of them, is a person that they trust, a person that they've made contact with, they developed this lifelong relationship with because they won 4 games in Roblox or 4 games in Call of Duty. That's a complete stranger to that child. And that's the avenue that we're seeing child exploitation and human trafficking going today. We talked about trying to clean up this and that. We've done a phenomenal job working with our partners at Hatcher, HPD, Harris County, and all the other agencies in addressing the crime that we see out in front of us on the street. But as parents, we have to police our kids because that's where the grooming begins in regards to becoming a victim of child exploitation and human trafficking. So all of our efforts in the FBI have been really focused on those things that are happening online, partnering with those social media companies, partnering with those companies so they can report what's happening or what they're seeing online. The FBI last year, and our partner received 13 million different leads and cases. 13 million. The FBI has about 453 agents out of about 15,000 that are working child exploitation and human trafficking. We got about 897 task force officers that we deputized that work in child exploitation and human trafficking. Out of 13 million leads, we got about 1,200 officers and agents working child exploitation and human trafficking. So I'd be telling you a lie if I told you we were going to wrest our way out of this idea, right? So that's why we partner with you guys in the community to educate, as well as partner with our nonprofits to educate and to get that information out so we can be safe, talk about preventing before we're actually investigating the crime. Our focus is stopping the hurt. We're a very victim-centric organization when it comes to child exploitation and human trafficking. Yes, we would like to get the perpetrator, but our goal is to identify the victims so we can stop the hurt and get them on the road to recovery. Whether that's labor trafficking, whether that's sex trafficking, whether that's domestic servitude, because we know it's important to get that child or that adult back online as soon as we can to get them the services that they need. So again, the FBI, the Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force, we've partnered with a lot of you guys, our state and local partners, to really find those pockets of juveniles that are being impacted by child exploitation and human trafficking. And they run parallel. I would say they run very parallel. That's why I'm using the words interchangeably, exploitation and human trafficking. Because human trafficking is the exploitation of the human. It is the exploitation of the human. So it's going to happen, and we have to deal with this new world that we're living in, where I can order a wife online, I can order groceries online, right? I can order my snacks online, I can order everything from Amazon online. You best believe you can order a victim of human trafficking online. So that's the reality in the world that we live in now. So our efforts have been put very much so focused on things that are happening online that we're not able to see out in front of us. So again, I thank Sammy for inviting us, giving us this opportunity, so we can try to educate, so we can hear things that are concerning you, so you can have an idea of what we as the FBI and our partners are focusing on, because a lot of this is an unseen crime. It's a very much so unseen crime.
Thank you. Rep Johnson, a lot of people don't know this, but as a founding member of the Harris County Girls Court, how do you believe specialized courts like this contribute to rehabilitation and protecting young trafficking victims?
Y'all met Kathy Griffin. I love Kathy Griffin, and she's right. We've known each other for a long time, and I never thought I'd ever know anybody like Kathy Griffin. But when I went to be the chief human trafficking prosecutor and start that division in juvenile court, just as both of the survivors said, there are times where I say, I need your help. I'm trying to reach out to somebody that doesn't look anything like this middle-aged white woman who's come from a place of privilege and works for the government to say, I'm here to help you. They gave me street cred. They gave me the ability to go into the jail. They gave me the ability to reach out and say, yeah, she's the law. She's a prosecutor, but you can trust her. And that's what opened the door for me to try to help victims. That's what started the relationship of people who normally were being prosecuted or their children being taken away or being taken out of their home as a child, not realizing, while it may seem wrong to us, not realizing that that was a bad situation. And in most of the circumstances, the only contact our victims have ever had with the government has been bad. Kathy, she told you about getting into Star Court, but she didn't tell you she was one of the first and most successful completers of Star Court. She made it. And so she's... the alternative court program, because the alternative court program gives a pathway to help be that safety net in the environment where you either have a carrot or a stick. And we can't do it. It's part of the reason that we work so hard. Let me tell you, Commissioner Briones didn't tell you this, but these 6 and now 7 in the last 2 session courts that we've gotten, this is the first time we've gotten these courts in almost 50 years. It's a huge deal. We believe in the need to expand our infrastructure and the criminal court system because more judges, more prosecutors doesn't necessarily mean more convictions.
Right.
It can mean more specialty courts to manage and help people with a revisioning of where we need to be. So I love these courts. I'm a big advocate, proponent for these courts. I think it is a wise use of our community investment and our court investment because it gives people that come in contact with law enforcement an opportunity to get their way out and not into the revolving door of criminal justice.
Commissioner, you've been a strong advocate for justice and public service. One of the things I want you to kind of expand on is what role do you see the community organizations playing with the government?
We're in this together. To me, I see our work inextricably linked. The government can be a thought partner, a funding partner, help execute, but at the end of the day, the deepest trust, especially in our minority and in our immigrant communities, is with the nonprofits and it's the places of worship. So we've been working very closely with our mosques, with our churches, with our synagogues and beyond, with our nonprofits, Anisa, Daya, the Houston Area Women's Shop, I mean, just so many organizations. And I also, different chapters of my life, but I worked in the nonprofit space for about 8 years. And seeing all the excellent work and that level of trust, but sometimes where I see us and Dr. Rana's key, bringing folks together, right? Where can we find synergies, these economies of scale? How can we help with messaging? How can we be more proactive with the educational campaign? How can we pool our resources so that instead of 2 or 3 languages, we can do it in 12 languages, right? Especially Precinct 4, which I'm so proud is the most international part of one of the most international places in this country. And so I see our nonprofit community, places of worship in our schools as the way that the government can deliver for the people. So I see it as deep union, deep partnership, and we're learning from y'all all the time. And there's, to me, a long road ahead, but I see the progress that we make when we make it together. And so what my team and I have been trying to do is bring people together, let's convene, and let's focus on what unites us and how we can work together more effectively. And I just want to say, I've been incredibly moved by your stories, but hearing Ms. Griffin and Dr. Hamilton this evening, that gives me hope. Right? We want all of our stories of those who have been trafficked and victimized to be not only survivors but advocates, right? And that's what happens when we work together, when we're creative with our specialty courts and we can create these partnerships. That at the end of what are we solving, right? Instead of let's not just put band-aids, but fundamentally, how are we addressing trauma? And then I'm ultimately a teacher, right? And the daughter of teachers. And I don't ever, yes, we're gonna work with victims and survivors, but to me, it's all about the education on the front end. And really teaching our youth young what's available, how to, that they are more than enough, right? So that they don't fall victim. And so it's a multifaceted approach, but the only way we're ever gonna really make marked progress is if we do it together. And we acknowledge our blind spots and where we have to keep learning together and trying together. So I am really, really thankful. I see so many friends and partners and allies in this room. And again, my team and I are all in every day because this weighs on me. I mean, this is an issue. This is modern day slavery. It sickens me. It sickens me that it's everywhere, and we need to do more, we need to do better.
I got a question before my main question for you. Is the FBI collecting names and emails in the mosques, synagogues, and temples?
Yes, of course we are. No, we're not. We talked about this earlier, and I'll just touch on this when we talk about how big data works, right? And I think that's something we need to all be cognizant of because it's the driver behind what a lot of teens and juveniles and folks that become victims of trafficking are getting subjected to. Big data is working to get the images in front of your children. Right? Big data is working to get the images in front of you. It knows what you like, right? It knows what you dislike. It knows who you're sitting next to. We've been in this room about 2 hours, right? That's big data. It makes all the things in the world convenient for us, right? When ladies bought a pair of shoes, and I was thinking about a pair of shoes, and I was standing right in front of Saks Fifth Avenue, right? You start getting ads about shoes, right? So how did this happen? It's the world of big data. It makes the world convenient for us. But also it makes the world very troubling for our victims because they're going to be exposed to stuff that they probably normally would be exposed to by searching. Right? So that's what we need to understand. And we talked about when collecting stuff in the mosque, we just know the people who call us collect.
Going back to the main question, how can the community work with FBI and identify/report any of the trafficking situations or get clarification? Can you also expand on that anonymous hotline?
Yes. So we've all heard the terms from the 9/11, or see something, say something, right? We talked about we got 13 million leads last year. Do I believe those numbers need to increase? Yes, but I think a lot is going unreported. So part of that, the FBI is partnered with NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, that you can call and report something in. You got the National Human Trafficking Hotline that you can call and report stuff in. The FBI has the National Threat Operations Center that you can call and report something in. Every one of those leads we take a look at. We try to prioritize. How we prioritize, looking at those hands-on offenses. And I'll just tell a short story. I'll toot up horns. Bree Reese here in San Luis that worked on our squad. When one of those tips come in, I'll just give you an example. They grab those tips, they start doing the research, what they can find, what information they can find is readily available. The instance just earlier this year, they took that information and they grabbed a 14-year-old girl out of a hotel while she was being sexually assaulted by a judge. One just left, and the trafficker sitting in the parking lot. So the information that you get, that you provide to us is real, right? We want to action it every time we get a chance to. So saying that, I know there's always been a healthy fear of law enforcement. We haven't always done things right. I'll attest to that. We haven't always done things right. But one thing I think we can get together on, and we have a healthy relationship on, is we want to do what's best for our children and the people in our community. So we have to have that conversation where we're able to talk with each other. We have to have that ability to reach out and say, hey, I need help. I can tell you from the FBI standpoint, a lot of law enforcement, we've had the victim trauma-informed training. This is a victim-centric crime. It is a victim-centric crime, and I'll say it over and over again. Our goal is to stop the hurt. We don't care about your status, your immigration status. We don't care about what else you may be doing illegally. We want to stop the hurt. We'll address everything afterwards. So be comfortable in going towards coming to law enforcement. Be comfortable reporting to the FBI. Be comfortable, because we can't help you if we don't know. We can't.
To be a no traffic zone, and putting up all the flyers that you see, the information, QR codes. Of course, you see it in the other stadiums here in the region, but that alone is one piece, right, of a multifaceted approach that we will need as we embrace this opportunity. But we know from a trafficking perspective, it's like basically hosting 10 Super Bowls all at once. We are going to need a partnership at all levels of government, as well as all of our law enforcement partners. And so let's all start focusing on that. But the bottom line is it starts at home. And I worry as I'm sitting here with y'all, my 3 little girls, my husband's there with them, he's a wonderful man, but you never know what on roadblocks what's happening, right? And so as a parent, I just feel like we need to lean in at home and in every sphere of influence we all have, and share best practices, because we're trying to learn and get better. So I love your ongoing partnership, please, because I know this is an area of expertise. So thank you.
And then, Brett, I want you to kind of expand on each one, following her, expand on, as we look to the future, what do each of you see as the most critical next step, for this fight against human trafficking?
So as mentioned, we have been changing the laws every couple of years, including passing the no trafficking zone around NRG and making it an enhanced punishment. But I want to be clear, and I know you've heard a lot tonight, but when people ask me how to describe human trafficking, there are 3 components. There's the victim population that you've heard from the survivors. The vulnerabilities that make them at risk are so hard to overcome in life in general. And once they become victims, providing services for them is a life commitment. Yes. Because the pain that they have will endure for life. The pimps that are selling them because they make a lot of money off of it, and it is harder to get those women to come to court and testify against them. Right. So the prosecution and the price of doing business is harder to make it across that way. Law enforcement is a key part of that, and I will tell you as a DA, when a case would start, their clock usually starts and it goes about 36 hours to do it right. There are not enough, and you can't keep up with that. So let me tell you what I think is the most important perpetrator that I haven't heard us, and we often forget. Have any of you heard of Lifesaver Soda? No. Lifesaver Soda. When I was a kid at the convenience store, I remember seeing Lifesaver Soda in the refrigerator bottles. It is the biggest corporate flop. When they blind tasted it and everybody took a drink of it, everybody loved it. But when they put it in these goofy looking bottles that look like the Lifesavers in the ugly color of yellow and brown and all the rest, and they put it in the refrigerator, nobody bought it. And that's why you've never heard of Lifesaver Soda. We would not be up here if people were not purchasing human beings. I have met women that couldn't feed their kids if they didn't perform sex. Right. But I have never met a man that couldn't pay his mortgage if he didn't get oral sex. Come on! So let me tell you, you got to look at the issue of demand. We are a society where we have a belief that boys will be boys. I have had Johns tell me it's better to go hire somebody because your mistress will take your phone and text your wife. So there's a conversation that needs to occur within communities that it is not okay to buy sex. For anybody to believe the fallacy and the fantasy that somehow they are helping some poor girl get through college and their money is helping. I have never met that victim. And so the way that you solve human trafficking is you tell, and it is a majority of men, and about half of them are married. You don't go buy sex. We don't tolerate it. So I'll tell you one of the biggest laws we changed. We made it a felony to buy. That's right. We made it a felony to buy. I'm sad to say that our current DA is not prosecuting it as a felony, and I expect that will change. Yes. Because you have to send a message that it is not okay to buy a human being. Full stop.
I just want you to expand on, what do you see some of the things happening in Harris County in closing?
I agree. One is greater prosecution of these felonies. We need to send a loud and clear message that this will not be tolerated in Harris County and the state of Texas. And I will go back, or Fort Bend, and the whole state of Texas, the whole country, and frankly the whole world, right? We know this is a global problem, but I keep going. The mother-teacher in me, it goes back to as children, what we're teaching our little boys and our little girls, that it's not okay to disrespect, victimize, commoditize another human being. And so as adults, it is up to all of us to teach our own kids, to teach our neighbors' kids, to teach every kid in our mosque, in our church, wherever we are, that it is not okay. And so to me, it starts early, and we need to just double down. But it also, we need to, at every level, the front end of the system and then in the system, we need to be prosecuting more. And we need to make sure that with the survivors, that we, as different levels of government, are providing holistic wraparound services to help people heal and to help connect them to past opportunities, right? So it's a multifaceted approach, right? And I'll just end with what I've been saying repeatedly, is we're in this together. And so your best ideas, your best efforts, we're in partnership with you. And so please reach out to us anytime. So thank you for having us, and let's lead for the right reasons. And together I'm optimistic that we will make progress.
Closing agent, Bart, I just want you to briefly touch on some of the new AI tech and what you're seeing when it comes to trafficking with it.
Across the country, we have seen AI being used that helps us in multiple things that we do in life, for the best, right? I'm in college right now, writing a term paper. AI would be great. Businesses is helping us formulate plans, but also the other end of that, AI is helping us victimize victims. The idea that I can make whatever I want image to look like something else is traumatizing. Even though it's not you, it's an image in your likeness that can be used as traumatizing victims. So across the country, everybody's been trying to figure out exactly what do we do with this AI. AI in itself, when we look at it, if you're producing child sexual abuse material, it's still child sexual abuse material. It doesn't matter if it's AI or whether it's real, it's still child sexual abuse material. And that's something that we as the government have been partnering with our state and local partners to make them aware. I will tell you, you've seen it more juveniles using AI and using it throughout the school system versus adults using AI. That's a really concern that we should have at our school age level, because it's just something to them, maybe something just fun to do. I'm just poking fun at this person, or I'm harassing this person, or as she said, the guys on the football team or the baseball team, or hey, this is what we're going to do so we can poke fun at this young lady, etc. Right? But we're seeing it. It's in use across the country. There have been successful prosecutions with folks using AI, so it's not a huge hurdle, but I can tell you as time goes on, as the technology develops, there will be more encryption. That's going to keep us out of avenues of prosecution, but as a whole, we'll figure it out. Just to touch on what we all can do. This is a multidisciplinary approach that we have to take at addressing child exploitation and human trafficking. Our team, like a lot of teams here in the county and Fort Bend County, we work very closely with the counselors, teachers, doctors, parents to figure out what's the best avenue in order to reach this victim. And that's something that you guys as a collective, I would like to see more of, because oftentimes, as Lisa said, there's a fight for a seat on the stage, there's a fight for money, there's a fight to say I'm doing this the best, but we have to keep our victims in mind. That's where the real fight will be at. Can we get the right people in the room to get in front of that victim to get them on track? Can we get the right people in the room to get them on track? It takes us 7 or 8 times to get a trafficking victim. Come on and preach. 7 to 8 times to recover that victim, to start, for them to start the thing. And I need to get help. So it's a multidisciplinary approach that we have to take. We take that very seriously because at the end of the day, we'll figure out who the perpetrator is. Yes. We'll figure that out. If we can't get the victim back on track, got somebody else will pick her up. Somebody else will pick him up. Right? That's the reality of it. Somebody else will purchase sex. Somebody else will force this person to work in a shop for nothing. Somebody else will hold this person hostage. That's the reality behind it. So the sooner we get the victims back on track, the sooner we're back to helping the society as a whole be whole, right? Because we're taking the victim out of the equation for them to exploit. So that's the real big piece. If you have an opportunity to go to any training, if you have an opportunity to buy training, do it when you can. I'll say it too. We got a representative here, Senate Bill 9, that was passed. A little bit of a hurdle. The reality of it is a little bit of a hurdle. But
Which bill is it?
where parents now have to opt in to get some of this educational training in the schools, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a hurdle, but
I doubt I voted for that, but Cyrus been checking.
that doesn't mean we don't try.
That's right.
That doesn't mean we don't try. So if you have an opportunity to get with your community leaders, your PTAs, get in there so you can actually try to educate the kids. We've done it here at the FBI, partnered with Harris County, partnered with our state legislators to go into schools. So we've done 57 through the course of this year. Right? Prevention is the best. I'd rather prevent than actually try to have to get a victim help after they're already been victimized. So if you find an opportunity to volunteer. If you find an opportunity to educate. Because that's what's going to take for us to get ahead of this curve.
I'm just going to open it up for a quick 2 or 3 questions. Public has any questions, you guys see a hand in the back. Please speak loud. Catherine, need you on the stage, not all.
Yep.
Any questions?
All right, go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for this forum, for this conversation. I know many of you up there. So my question is this, and I'm going to lead up to it. We know that trafficking has been around since the beginning of time. However, there are countries like Finland, like Sweden, like Norway, that don't see trafficking as exploited as it is here. And the reason is because people's lives there are vastly better than our lives here. We don't have the levels of injustice, of poverty, of this inability to move beyond the margins. And that is the root problem. As a government entity, and I love what you do, Commissioner Briones, but we keep talking about, if you see something, say something. We have to partner with our community organizers. We have to educate our children. That puts the burden on people for whom the systems weren't designed for. And what really needs to shift is that the systems need to work for everyone, so that we don't have these issues of poverty where people are choosing to sell another human being so that they can make ends meet and go beyond. The goal is to put nonprofits out of business. We fill a gap. We fill a gap that the government isn't able to do. So, and
you're right, which is why having the highest rate of uninsured children in the nation creates a vulnerable population. Being 46 and funding for public education and being on the verge of trying to dismantle public education and benefit of vouchers is going to hurt. And you're exactly right.
And you know exactly where I stand on that. So, and that gets political. But the point being is this is where the government needs to step in and sort of solve this for everyone.
We agree, and we all need to vote people who reflect our values into office. And it's multidimensional, from our education system, our healthcare system, from our economy and the drivers of our economy. But it is multifaceted. But at the end of the day, you need decision makers at the local, city, county, state, federal government that reflect your values. So we need to make sure, especially in our communities, and I know, in my Latino culture, we don't vote in the numbers that we have. And so we need to make sure we're voting and voting our actual interests.
Well, one of the young ladies said something earlier. One of the young ladies said something earlier that I think folks really need to recognize. Very profound in what she said. She said that the individuals that are engaging in child exploitation and trafficking are very smart individuals. As a supervisor of our human intelligence collection squad, managed spies, what you're dealing with is a group of individuals who's engaging in child exploitation and human trafficking. They are brilliant people that understand people. They understand people. So I agree with you that we can try to address the vulnerabilities. There are vulnerabilities there, but the tradecraft that these young men, women are using, they're exploiting the vulnerabilities of the people. They're exploiting the vulnerabilities of the people. They do it very well. She talked about the evidence of people don't have to be a gorilla picking for. I don't. If I can give you something in life that you can possibly make some money on, where I have food to eat, have a place to lay my head, it might just be all right for me to sell my body, right? Or to go to a party that I want to go to, or to a Texas game that I like to go to, or a Super Bowl that I like to go to that I've never experienced in a lifetime. And somebody has said enough to me online, on social media, or in passing, that I can provide for you, right? So understand, there is always going to be somebody out, and I wish and I hope our elected officials, everybody, they recognize that vulnerability will still be there. If we solve every issue from a social economic status, from an education status, people will be people that I assure you we have arrested. Doctors, teachers, lawyers, your local thug, your 15-year-old that's sitting in the school, his friends. There is no demographic that's not impacted. As a subject, there's no demographic that's not impacted as a victim, because they're dealing with people. That's a very hard piece of
that want to adopt children. Now, mind you, the trafficker is paying them, gonna pay all their debt off. And they don't even realize that they have opted into a human trafficking ring, and they'll give them whatever that amount of money, pay it out, and then they get the children, and then legally they can just give them, like they, I didn't know, I'm giving them back, and they give them to the trafficker. They don't care how old or how young you are. This is happening every day.
Every day and every minute. Kathy, thank you for that. And then I just got my whip cracked on me by Ruba. I'm afraid of Ruba, so whatever she says goes. So Ruba, come on up.
Yay.
I do know that we have to act, and we should not, it's talk, but we really have to act. And I think it has given food for thought as to what one needs to do to really convert it to action. Again, thank you all. I know a lot of you have questions, but I hope our panelists will stay for a little bit so that they can answer, mingle, and